This is Tim Olyphant on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And fall is here, the bell, which might be the best thing about this podcast. Don't tell Conan I said that. But that I'm a big fan of that Jack White song.
Oh, yeah.
Technically, that's a White Stripes song.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it probably is.
I'm going to say if only we had little devices in our pockets where we could look that up. I'm a fan of the White Stripes and the Jack White and the Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
He doesn't, I mean, he might need more friends.
That's why he started the podcast.
That's what it says. That's a way in.
Yeah, it is a way in.
It's just a way in.
But the premise was that he has these friends that he sees like Hollywood friends that he sees in a professional setting, but rarely does he socialize with them outside of the professional setting. Like rarely does he get dinner with them, hang out in a real social way. But I think you're an exception to the sort of premise of the show.
You know what? You might be right. And as you say it, I actually don't know. I feel like he's more social than does he? I feel like he gets out more often than we. He's very well liked.
He is.
And I've been to his home and when he's had people over and people love him. I think it's a gimmick.
Yeah, it's a gimmick.
I think it is a gimmick.
But the theme song works really well with the.
But the theme song reads really well, and you got to come up with something. Here's the point. This is I've listened to the show when he's had very, very special guests, people that mean a lot to him, and he just does away with the intro. Yeah,
like a former first lady, Michelle Obama, something like that. He won't do the intro.
Did he? And even speaking of Mr. White, did he do an intro on White? I think he just went right into the show.
That's possible too.
It's possible.
Yeah. Oh, it's special guests, and also if it goes really long, sometimes we'll say let's just skip the intro altogether.
Okay, I did one of those two things. I'm one of those two. I went long, but I'm not. So yeah, because I asked him about the intro. That's like a 10-minute intro.
Yeah, usually 5 to 10 minutes.
5-10 minutes.
Yeah, but you are a really special guest. You were one of the first guests. I think you came on a few months after the show launched.
Okay.
And there has been a clamoring to get you back, and it took a long time.
That's so nice to hear. I mean, not genuinely. None of it makes sense to me.
It's true. I think you were the first guest to come in and sort of like break the rules a little bit and create a little bit of chaos.
But here's the deal. I was thinking today that as much as I've enjoyed the podcast, the preamble, I've decided that perhaps there should be a preamble before the intro to the intro. Mm-hmm. That's what this is right now.
We have none of the actual hosts of the show.
That's my point.
I'm not really a part of the show either.
I know. So this is, if this makes it on the, what do we call this?
On the podcast?
On the podcast. I was about to say it makes it on the air.
Yeah. Well, this will air on the radio too.
Just an old person.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, because Gourley's not here. He will receive this. Gourley will receive this audio, and he'll have to figure out what to make of it. And
really?
What to do with it. Yeah.
So that's who we're right now.
Yeah, we're gonna send this to Matt Gourley.
This is like an audition.
Yeah.
I'm auditioning for something.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you can speak directly to Gourley.
Oh, okay. Hey, bud.
Hey, Tim.
There you go. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here at a later date in a different place.
I appreciate you being here for me.
He is a super fan of yours too. He and I talk about
that. Doesn't make up for the fact that he's not here.
No, it doesn't.
No.
In fact, it makes it even a little more.
It's hurtful.
A little more hurtful.
Why isn't he here? Is it a budget thing?
Yeah, it's a budget
Is that what
thing.
Conan's having a meeting?
Yeah.
Conan had a meeting with Sirius. It wouldn't fly the other two out, huh?
They're coming out, but they're coming out Wednesday. We've got these shows at the end of the week.
That's right. And then that's the other thing he mentioned. Something about what's he doing at the Beacon?
Yeah, he's doing a live show, 2 live shows, Thursday and Friday night.
Really?
Live podcasts.
Who's on the live podcast?
We can say it now because this will air after they happen, but Stephen Colbert and Tracy Morgan.
I bet that'll be good. I'm gonna guess.
Really
I'm gonna guess they went over really well.
I think we'll see, but I'm confident. They're good guests. They're home run guests.
That's good. Live guests at the Beacon, and they're gonna do the thing.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like this is not gonna go over.
Gourley might just cut it out completely.
You might have to cut it out completely because it feels like I should have to say something like an anecdote to O'Brien.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about O'Brien. First of all, I'll tell you my history of Conan O'Brien. Way back when in the 90s, when he was doing his show here in New York, I went on his show as a guest. He doesn't remember that. I barely remember it. I was so nervous. It was the most nerve-wracking thing. I remember going out there. I remember his lips moving, and then I was like, it was just like, okay, I'm going to continue with my story.
Was it one of your first late night experiences?
It was my very first late night talk show appearance. And it was so nerve-wracking. And I have to confess, I was such a fan, and am such a fan, of a great talk show and a great talk show appearance. And I was just, the whole thing was, I think I was almost late. It was like breaking out. I was nervous as all get out. It was like late 90s, not even that young. And I did not do another talk show for years after that because I was like, nope, I'm not ready. And then anyway, so then I think maybe it might have been close to 10 years before I went on his show out in LA. And I just had a ball. It's
crazy to hear because you seem like such a natural doing it. And so relaxed, actually, from a viewer's perspective. You seem so natural. I
appreciate you saying so. I tell you, the whole thing, everything about show business early on was just confusing and nerve-wracking and just like, just a nightmare. I remember the first and only time I went on Letterman. And it was like just a year or so before he retired, as I remember. And I remember being in my house and I was looking at great Letterman guests. Like I was looking at all these guests, just that thing of trying to remind myself like what makes him laugh, just trying to think about what makes a great appearance on Letterman. So I'm watching all the usuals and my wife comes in and says, "What are you doing?" And I say, "Oh, I'm just watching clips from great Letterman guests." And she looks over my shoulder and she's like, "That's like Martin Short." And I was like, "Yeah, he's a really, and then it's like, that's like Bill Murray." And I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." She goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "When those people come on his show, he's super excited." And she's like, he doesn't give a shit about you.
Oh, man.
Like he doesn't, this is true. It's turning into a Letterman story. Conan can't get enough of Letterman stories. He'll appreciate that. I'm starting this podcast with a Letterman story. And I realized she's so right. I realize I'm preparing, like I'm looking at these guys and what they're doing and how he's reacting. And then she's like, yeah, but she's totally right. So I think to myself, okay, she's got a point here, So I Googled, I thought of an actor who was in a similar spot. This was, I think, first or second season of Justified. We'd just come out. I think we'd done a season. And so I looked up actors that I thought were more or less in my position, at that time, or looked up them when they were at that position. Like John Hamm, God bless him, good dude, like right when Mad Men came out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like that's a similar spot. I watched clips of those actors on Letterman and he did not give a shit. And I was like, oh my God, she's so right? And
that was probably a little bit of a relief, though, to see.
I don't know if it was a relief, but it was certainly of value. What you don't prepare for, that first moment when he's just like, my next guest is so-and-so, and he has no idea who that person is, You just immediately are going to the like, and I think maybe there was something similar like that when going on the talk show the first time, going on O'Brien, which was like, you imagine that you think of your anecdotes and they're funny and whatever. Right. And then you just don't realize that first moment when you just like walk out there and it's like every show business experience I ever had when you're like, I remember going on my first set and just like, what's all this colored tape on the ground? You know, like I just didn't know what any of those things were.
What do you think made it easier? Is it just the reps? Is it just doing it multiple times or getting more comfortable in your own skin as a actor and someone being interviewed?
There's something to be said about not giving a shit. You know, if you can get to yourself to a place where it's all just a joke. And then there's the other thing, which is don't tell Conan he's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
So he is exceptionally good at what he does, and he just makes it look easy. He carries you at times. He fills in areas and just makes it so smooth. I mean, so many times I realize it's like a sleight of hand. He makes me come off really well. Yeah, so he's really good, you know. He may not have a lot of friends, but he's gotten really good at what he does. And I think that's, if nothing else, that's the takeaway here.
Should we go to the intro?
Oh, now what I'd like to do is go from this intro to his intro.
Okay. All right, sounds great.
See you later, everybody.